Hello students. So we were discussing about the properties of colloidal particles. So we have discussed about many of the properties of the colloids. So we have discussed about the colligative properties, Tyndall effect, Brownian movement, and how does color obtain on the colloidal solution. The next one we have discussed is how does the charge acquire on the colloidal particles. So the next property that we are going to study is electrophoresis. So we have studied that all the colloidal particles have some characteristic charge on it. It may be having positive charge or the negative charge. So next thing that we are going to study is about the electrophoresis. So electrophoresis will give us an explanation or it give us a proof that the colloidal particles has charge on it. So we are going to study about the next two properties of the colloids. That is, the first one that we are going to study is the electrophoresis. The next one we are going to study is about the coagulation, flocculation, or we call it as the precipitation.
So the next property of the colloids that we are going to study is the electrophoresis. So we have studied that the colloidal particles has charge on it. This can be confirmed by the process known as electrophoresis. So this is an experimental setup to demonstrate electrophoresis. So suitable colloidal solution should be taken in that U-shaped tube and it should be fitted with the two electrodes, anode and cathode. So when an electric field is applied, this charged particles, either it is positive charge or negative charge, it will move towards the oppositely charged electrode. That means positively charged particles will move towards the cathode and negatively charged particles will move towards the anode. So all the positively charged colloidal particles will move towards the negatively charged electrode, which is the cathode. And you can see that the negatively charged colloidal particles present in the colloidal solution will move towards the negatively charged electrode, that is the anode. Main application of the electrophoresis is in sewage disposal plants. So the next phenomena that we are going to study is electroosmosis. So what is meant by electroosmosis is that suppose electrophoresis is going on, the charged particles are moving towards the oppositely charged electrode. Now we are stopping the movement of the colloidal particles. Stopping means by using a semi-permeable membrane or something. So if we have blocked the flow of the colloidal particles by using a semi-permeable membrane, what will happen means the colloidal particles will stuck over there. It cannot flow. So semi-permeable membrane won't allow the colloidal particles to pass through it. But still what can move? The dispersion medium. The dispersion medium which is present in the colloidal solution can move across the semi-permeable membrane. So hence by stopping the flow of the colloidal particles by using a semi-permeable membrane, the colloidal particles will stuck over there, but still the movement of the dispersion medium will take place. This phenomenon we call it as the electroosmosis. So the next property of the colloid that we are going to study is the coagulation of salts. Coagulation, or we call it as the precipitation or flocculation. So these are the three terms that we are using. Okay. So we know that the presence of charge on the colloidal particles is one of the reasons for the stability of the colloidal solution. Since the charges are present in the colloidal particles, these particles cannot come closer. They will repel from each other. But somehow, if this charge is removed, what will happen means these colloidal particles can come closer and it will settle down under gravity also. So, the particles will come closer if the charge is removed. It will aggregate together and it will settle down under gravity. So, this settling down of the particles will present as the coagulation or the precipitation of the salts. So these particles will appear in the colloidal solution as the insoluble part. So it can be achieved by many ways. So the first one we are studying, the reason for the coagulation of the salts is the electrophoresis. So first reason that we are going to study is the electrophoresis. How does electrophoresis causes the coagulation or precipitation? So we have studied about the electrophoresis. So under the influence of electric field, the charged particles will move towards the oppositely charged electrode. So when this process happens for a long time, that means prolonged time, if this movement happens, these particles will get discharged at the electrode and will get precipitated. So that is how the electrophoresis is causing the coagulation. So the next method is by the mixing of the oppositely charged salts. So if we mix two oppositely charged colloidal solution for a positive salt and a negative salt together, it will get neutralized and will cause the precipitation. So more important thing is that equal amount of colloidal solution should be taken and it should be mixed together such that it will get neutralized and will get precipitated. For example, if you are taking positively charged hydrated ferric oxide and negatively charged arsenium sulfide and we are mixing it together. So when we mix it together, equal amount of these two salts, when we mix it together, what will happen means it will get neutralized, mutual coagulation will take place and it will get precipitated or coagulated. So the next method to get precipitated or coagulated is by boiling. So when we boil a colloidal solution, the colloidal particles which is present in the solution will get collided with the particles present in the dispersion medium. So when they collide with each other, it will result in the reduction of the charge on the colloidal particles. So once the charge is getting removed, it will aggregate together and it will settle down under the gravity and will get precipitated. For example, if you are taking negatively charged arsenium sulfide, these molecules will undergo collision with the particles present in the dispersion medium. It will lose its charge and it will settle down as a precipitate. So the next method for the coagulation is by persistent dialysis. We know that trace amount of electrolyte are needed for the stability of the colloidal solution because it is giving charge to the colloidal particles by getting adsorbed on the surface of the colloidal particles. But prolonged dialysis, if we do for a long time, it will result in the removal of the electrolyte from the colloidal solution and will result in the removal of charge on the colloidal particle and it will get unstable and will get coagulated or get precipitated. The next method for the coagulation is by the addition of an electrolyte. We know that trace amount of electrolyte is needed for the stability of the colloidal solution. But if we add excess amount of electrolyte, the particles of the colloidal solution will get precipitated because ions which is present in the electrolyte will neutralizes the oppositely charged ion present in the colloidal solution. That means a negative ion will cause the precipitation to the positively charged salt and a positive ion will cause the precipitation to the negatively charged salt. So by addition of excess amount of electrolyte, the neutralization of the charges will take place and it will result in the coagulation or the precipitation. The ion which is resulting in the neutralization, we call it as the coagulating ion. So it is a coagulating ion which neutralizes the charged particles which is present in the colloidal solution. So these are the method used for the
coagulation.